Hello and welcome. My name is William Kumwemba and this is Business Time. It's a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories that are making headlines in the country. And coming up in the program today, gender disparities rock the digital financial market system. We find out why. And also in the program today, Agriculture Committee of Parliament summons fertilizer dealers over rising prices. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned if you could.
Zinenenje munalimo muno
eya ndimadza kulya tuzina ndi zina amwali
mande mwachopata shuga apo tikona nkaka umatu masambati ndi mulibe uno
alamwa kuti usamwatiwa masamba
ndakhaso tingati amwali komanso to inu mubasiketi yonse yangodzadza ndi made in Malawi yokayoka tamakani moyo otsogola pogula zinthu zakunja
maganizo amene kuti ndiobwezera chitukuko cha dziko lino mbuyo kugula zinthu zopangidwa kwathu konkuno kumathandiza kukweza ntchito za makampani a dziko muno zomwenso zimapereka mwayi wa ntchito kwa anthu ambiri ogwira ntchito akachuluka dziko lathu limatolera misonkho yochuluka chumanso chimakwera ngogulatu katundu wakunja mumangolemeretsa mayiko akunjawo ife sitipindula kanthu
kani
ndikuwuzani
ipo ndendamvetsatu tandikire pompa nene ndikagule zinthu zathu za chimalawi sindichedwa tandikire
tigule zathu tilikule dziko lathu
inde ndidikire sindichedwa
dziko lathu bai Malawi tikonde ndi kunyadira za chimalawi tikamagula za kunja.
Hello and welcome. This is Business Time and my name is William Kumwembe. In our main story in the program today, women seem to be lagging behind in as far as use of mobile money services is concerned. This is according to a recent report from the Reserve Bank of Malawi. But what explains the situation? This is the question our journalist Justin Mkwewa attempts in this report.
The bank has expressed fears that the trend, which has been the same in the past, shows that women who constitute a bigger population for Malawi than men are being left out. The report adds that the existing mobile money subscribers' gender gap is of concern as it may derail the country from achieving meaningful financial inclusion, as this entails that females who constitute the majority of the country's population are being left behind. It further reveals that there was a slowdown in usage as the 90-day activity rate for mobile money subscribers dropped to 56.1% in June 2021 from 73.3% in March 2021. The central bank attributes the development to reduced activities from subscribers who were only active on mobile money usage due to some specific programs or activities such as social cash transfer, which have now ended. Even though the quota has seen some drawbacks, the number of registered subscribers for non-bank mobile money services increased by 7.5% to 9.3 million as at the end of June 2021, and the number of mobile money agents rose by 36.9% to 115,435 as at end of June 2021. Commenting on the figures, the Chief Executive Officer for Kakupay Smart Money, Gavin Moyo, attributed the gender disparity to charges on mobile money transactions and lack of ICT gadgets for most women.
When we refer to the FinScope study that was done some 2 years ago, the poverty status of women is quite high. So you find that most of them, they can't afford these gadgets that will facilitate digital finance and the financial inclusion in that matter. The other element goes to the literacy levels, because when you look at our setting, I think we've grown up with the mentality that it's only men that should be educated or that should be sent to school. So you find that the initiatives that most organizations are doing in terms of encouraging the girl child to be educated is also going to assist in terms of getting the literacy levels up. So if we can have women empowered economically, and if we can have women educated and they're comfortable to use these digital ways of accessing financial services, then we can have the numbers increasing in terms of their accessibility to these financial solutions. The players out there, or us as players, we are obsessed with getting the revenue at the expense of people being able to use these digital financial services. With GacoPay, what we've done is we've looked at the ecosystem to say when somebody has got e-value or has deposited their money in a digital financial institution, what are they going to use it for? So a person who is out there, for example, I'll still give a case study of Bembeke. We've analyzed to say this person, when they've received or they've put their money in that system, they'll need to purchase their basic needs. They'll need to purchase cooking oil, soap, whatsoever, their basic necessities. Where are they going to find them? Maybe it's at Bembeke Trading Center. So we've said at Bembeke Trading Center, we'll make sure that we've got small merchants. So we've got a merchant account for small businesses and a merchant account for larger businesses. For small businesses, what happens is that when somebody is paid for money, they don't have for a good, for a service, they will not be able to pay an additional amount for as a cash out fee. If I'm purchasing soap for 200 kwacha, I'll pay 200 kwacha. The business owner, when they're going to withdraw or redeem or cash out that money, they'll get 200 kwacha as well. There's no any fees.
Some women in the city of Blantyre agreed with Moyo. They believe government and other stakeholders should do more to empower women. Mobile money is being touted as the most secure and reliable way of financial transactions, which is also the right path to financial inclusion.
Now, prices of fertilizer have been rising in the recent past, rising to as high as 40,000 kwacha per 50 kilogram bag. Local traders attribute the rise to international market trends. However, the Agriculture Committee of Parliament says that argument is not as valid as local traders are seen to wanting to profiteer from the initiative. We caught up with Samir Suleiman, who is chairperson of the Agriculture Committee of Parliament, to share the rationale behind the whole trends on the market.
Yes, currently, as I explained earlier, that we are in the process of establishing the scenario behind the price increase in fertilizers. And this is what we are coming across, that the other sector is landing the same fertilizer at a very much higher price, whereby a government institution could land the same fertilizer at a much cheaper price. So we are in the process of establishing what exactly is happening. And as a committee, at the end of the day, we will come up with a statement that will give a direction of our findings to the authorities so that maybe we can do things differently this time. As you know, that fertilizer is not a regulated commodity as we're talking now, unlike maize and fuel. The backbone of this is to fast track the bill that is pending. You know, there's a fertilizer bill that has been lying idle. It is time now that we should have a political will to push that bill to come. And I said earlier today that if this bill is not coming during our next sitting of Parliament, then I will consult with my colleagues to bring it in as a private member's bill. It's high time we control the pricing of fertilizer. You cannot talk of food security by regulating maize price when you cannot regulate the input to get that maize. So if you want to regulate maize prices or you want to come up with your farm gate prices, let's start from fertilizer. It should go as a chain. That way, I think we'll be doing more justice to Malawians than the current situation.
Now, what are other players in the industry saying about this situation? Andy Kalinde is Chief Executive Officer for the SFFRFM in the country.
Please take note that agriculture is the mainstay of our economy, and SFRFM was set up to support that, especially from the fertilizer angle. From the date we were set on 1st of February 1988, SFRFM as per the trust deed and our works, was to ensure that there is fertilizer in Malawi at all times, then and even today. But added to that, a proper infrastructure was placed in Blantyre at Chirimba, warehouses which can accommodate 45,000 tons. In Kanengo, 2 warehouses for the central region which can cover 90,000 tons. And up north, in Zuzu, Ruinga, warehouses which can cover 45,000 tons. So added to what we have and added to what ADNOC has, I believe there is enough infrastructure to warehouse fertilizer and deliver to the farming community in Malawi, in ensuring that always there is food security at household and national level. In terms of the transport capacity locally, transportation of fertilizer is done by contracted transporters who are Malawian transporters. Internationally, it goes based on the terms of sale, but there are also transporters which are benefiting on that. In terms of the financials, yes, SFRFM has capacity, but as they always say, the wants are many, but the means are limited. But in this case, we will have the necessary support and financing facilities to ensure that fertilizer is brought into Malawi to the requirements. We now have a national fertilizer policy for Malawi. Now, fertilizer is now becoming a strategic commodity for the country, and it is the authorities who can direct in which direction as a nation we can go, because they have the bigger picture.
We are experiencing increase in the prices of fertilizer. Given the chance they support us, SFRFM, how much would a Malawian buy a bag of 50 kg of fertilizer?
Thank you very much. We do fertilizer tenders, which we float in line with the Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Act. When you say you are a price leader, it means there is, amongst the other players, you need to have another organization which is big, which can aggregate more stocks. And because that organization is aggregating more stocks, then it is that one which would say to say, based on the bag which I've imported, and based on the necessary costings and all that, then maybe they can be that particular position. But currently, as a nation, we are just a price taker. We are a price taker because what we bring in the country is mostly in smaller quantities.
Remember, this is Business Time, a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories that are making headlines in the country. We'll be right back.
I've got that feeling, that linger feeling. 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 When
Made from fresh local fruits of mulberry, jambula, rosella, strawberry, plum, white guava, and white peach, and naturally fermented for 1 or 2 years in our cool cellar, comes Malawi's own Linga. Here's to a smooth taste, unsurpassed quality, and distinctive fruit wines. When in Malawi, it has to be Linga.
Welcome back. This is Business Time, magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories that are making headlines in the country. Moving on with the program. There's been some concerns among some stakeholders in the construction industry over substandard works in so many projects. They say the country has been investing heavily in several projects, precisely public projects, but the output seems not to tally the resources invested therein. However, the Malawi Institute of Engineers said there is need for concerted effort towards ensuring that the country puts up together resources and expertise towards building better infrastructural projects. Our journalist Yamikan Kajaje has the whole story in this report.
The institution emphasizes the need for quality control and consumer awareness in processes of infrastructure development. Its president, Alfonso Chikuni, says there is need for more stringent measures to be undertaken in order to effectively develop the infrastructure projects in the country.
We have a lot of examples, especially in the rain season, where we have road infrastructure washing away. So yes, the poor quality infrastructure is existent and rampant in the country. The problem is that, like on the aspect of corruption, it means that a lot of resources will be eroded because, as I said, that infrastructure is a source of grand corruption. And if the instruments, for now, the approach for curbing infrastructure corruption is mostly leans on sanctions. When somebody is corrupt and they have to be brought to book. But the best way to prevent corruption, one of the best ways to prevent corruption is prevention. So transparency during procurement, transparency during project planning, transparency during the decision making. This is why I'm saying that the public has to be educated in terms of claiming what belongs to them. That could be one example. Another example is the quality controls, because most of the infrastructure being handled and implemented by non-engineers or engineers that are not even qualified to implement such infrastructure. So in a nutshell, I would say it is the environment under which the infrastructure is being implemented that's at fault. There could be many other problems, but these are the visible problems that we can see visibly. Yeah.
In an earlier interview, Vice President Saulos Chilima lamented the state of the road infrastructure in the country.
One of the many things we are saying, we came here some 3-4 months ago, and we agreed what to do. And I think what has been done is not what we agreed to do, and therefore we should be disappointed, because we are continuing to say nothing is happening. People are told what to do, and they're not doing it. So let's see what happens in the next 30 days or so. We probably have to be taking different decisions as time goes, because we can't continue coming back to Manja every now and then. We have development programs across the country, and this is in a city. We really shouldn't be wasting time. So it's very much in line with what we're saying, and the residents here are not happy, and they will start calling us all sorts of names when there are people that are employed to do these things. So if we must start operating graders, then we'll come and operate graders.
The Malawi Priorities Project Report recommends reconstruction of paved roads as a result of negligence in proper periodic maintenance and poor rehabilitation activities. Efficient transport network and infrastructure development remains essential for the country to achieve sustainable economic and social development.
Now, moving on to other business news in the program Business Time. Miners at the Kairakera uranium mine, Lotus Resources Limited, has expressed optimism that they would open mining processes soon. This comes as the firm has posted reports that there are still some deposits of ore at the mine, as well as improvement of prices of uranium on the international market. Our journalist Chimwemwe Mangazi reports.
A recent interview with some international media by Lotus Managing Director Keith Bowes indicates that the company engaged in a study last year on ways that could impact on cash costs in its operations. One of such ways was the ore sorting technology. Bowes says that the study showed that the material at Kairakera is suitable for ore sorting.
One of the things that we did from the scoping study that we announced in October of last year, we identified 4 areas that we thought had the main or could potentially have the biggest impact on our cash costs moving forward for when we operate. And ore sorting was one of those key ones. Now, ore sorting is a technology that I've looked at previously in other projects. It's a technology that I know other uranium companies have had a look at and have had some success with. And even when we went and had a look through Paladin's historical test work database, they'd also done some test work around ore sorting at a purely concept level and showed that the material at Kalakeara is suitable for ore sorting. Now, the reason why we're so excited about it and the reason why we're so encouraged by the results, I think there's a couple of things that ore sorting can do for Kalakeara. On a really, really simple basis, if you remember when we spoke about the scoping study, we had two scenarios in it. One scenario was high grade. A second scenario was high grade for the first 8 years and then treating stockpiles for the latter 6 years of it. Ore sorting for me is particularly applicable to that lower grade material in the back end of the schedule. If we take something that has about 400 ppm of uranium in it, which for us is a relatively low grade, put that through an ore sorting unit, and we're able to increase that grade to 700 or 800 ppm or so, and then feed that into the main plant, it becomes a lot more economic for us to treat. The test work that we reported on a couple of weeks ago showed again, or confirmed for us again, that the Kalakeara ore is applicable to the ore sorting technology, and we were able to get an increase in grade. We're still crunching the numbers at the moment, but somewhere between 1.5 and 2 factor. So that was what we were talking about, the 400 to 800 ppm there. So I think that's a real good option for ore sorting. There's another one that I think that we spoke a little bit about as well, that is perhaps a little more difficult, but could potentially also have some benefit as well. We know that acid consumption on the plant is a particularly key driver for us in terms of both throughput and costs. If we were able to get an ore sorting technology that was sensitive enough to identify calcite rocks that contain very little uranium and reject that from the system, our overall acid consumption would drop off. And I think that would be very, very beneficial for the project, not only for the lower grade materials, but perhaps even for the higher grade materials. So the ore sorting technology that we're having a look at, when we reported on the results, we talked about two different types of sensors. We talked about a color sensor and we talked about an XRT sensor, which is effectively density at a nuclear level almost on the system. Now, those aren't two separate machines. Those are the same machine with each detector turned on or turned off. So what we're going to have a look at now is we did that as a first pass to try and understand the benefit of each detector. In reality, I think the final solution is going to be a combination of both detectors running at the same time. So for example, a very high density material that picks up from the XRT stuff but happens to be light in color would be accepted by the XRT but rejected by the color system. But because it's high density, we would be confident it has a high grade of uranium in it, so we want it to be accepted. And again, if you look at the reverse, if you've got a dark material that would be accepted by the optical but has a very low density, we don't want that because we don't think it has the uranium in it. So using a combination of the two, we think is the way to go. And that's what our next stage of test work is going to be doing, is looking at both of those detectors together, as well as widening the range of feed materials that we're going to test. Because for the initial proof of concept test, we used a relatively high-grade material.
One of the local employees of the company, who did not want to be named, indicated that the company plans to treat some of the residues left over by previous owners of the mine to recover uranium using the new technology. He said the new technology has shown ability to harvest uranium as low as 100 ppm from rocks. Local mining expert Gren Malunga emphasized that the development did not necessarily mean that there had been discovery of increased volumes of uranium in the mine, but just enhanced technology for getting the same value.
Well, that story also brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories that are making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and bye for now.